Tonight we will examine concepts that may challenge your perception of the world around you. Strange creatures, chilling tales, and the occasional conspiracy. Here on our show, we will attempt to provide you with paranormal insight. Let's briefly step back to an earlier point. There was something you said that newbies to this who are having legitimate experiences. Let's talk briefly about those types of experiences. Let's say they're having, like my cousin Debbie, she had the visions, the dead people coming to her. And this isn't the first medium we ran into who didn't know she was a medium. By the way,
That's true.
So, and it was fascinating. So where does this person go? Is there a safe person or safe place or a safe organization for these people to go to and say, I think this is it, and they can get evaluated, for lack of a better term?
Well, I think with anything, I mean, you have to always weigh what is happening and the reality of it. I have seen people in real psychosis think that they're having a spiritual awakening, and they're not. They literally have a chemical imbalance that they need medication for. The people I'm talking to and about are people who, if they really take a moment and look back, when they were kids, they were having experiences all over the place. They may not remember everything, but for the most part, if they're going to harken back, they're going to think, oh yeah, I did get these feelings when I was a kid, or I did see this and that when I was a kid, and then it kind of stopped and now it's starting up again. There are tons of different resources, but be mindful of who you're listening to. So make sure that whoever it is that you're choosing to listen to, make sure that they resonate with you. I'm not for everyone.
Sorry, what do you mean by resonate specifically?
Meaning that they hit your spirit and that you're drawn and you're attracted to them. Not physically, but the information that they're giving out. And then evaluate, is this healthy? Are the things that they are saying making me feel better? Or are they putting me more into isolation? Because there are a lot of people out there, like I said, peddling fear. They're peddling, oh, when you wake up spiritually, you lose all your friends, your whole family, everyone thinks you're crazy, and all these things. And it doesn't have to be like that. I have an entire playlist that I made of just audios for people going through spiritual awakenings, from when you're just waking up all the way into the point when you're really, really developing it. And I did that in a happier state because I had to do something to contradict what all this horribleness was online that I was hearing. It was so much, and it was upsetting me. And I feel like with the small amount that I'm on the internet, I could only imagine people who are on the internet way much more than I am are hearing.
Yeah, I understand. I wish I could be the voice of reason for a lot of things, because I mean, going back to what you're saying about TV shows and how they were ticking you off, and you did clue me into that. So, oh my God, she's right. I got more and more angry at these TV ghost hunters who kept pushing the envelope and then taking it too far, way too far, and so much to the point that where they were just behaving dangerously. I mean, I for instance, in a situation where I'm invited into a home to investigate and I see a Ouija board, I back out. Stop. I get JJ. I say, what's going on? I see a Ouija board. Are we in danger? That type of thing. I'm not expecting things to go flying across the room at all. has happened before, but it was like a one-off. Oh no, that's not true at all. But anyway, yeah.
With that being said, I mean, we've talked about this. I get that there are things that are made for TV in order to be
Just for entertainment value, but at the same time, if you're passing yourself off as a reality show and
yes.
you're making everything up or providing an example that is less than, appropriate. I mean,
Well, and again, we come down to the responsibility of the information that we're giving.
right.
If, and I lectured you about this, and we did an episode on my channel about this as
Yes.
well, of the fact of why I think it is so necessary. If you are going to be a paranormal investigator, you need to have a psychic or a cleaner on your team.
Yep.
No ifs, ands, or buts. It would be like going to the doctor's office and just having a whole bunch of nurses there, but no one who can actually diagnose you and write the prescription.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And that's not a knock to nurses. I mean, I love y'all. You usually know what's going on, and a lot of paranormal investigators do. They can kind of sense what's going on. But if you can't write the prescription, you can't help the people out. What good are you doing? Great, you went in there, you got some evidence, you have it on tape, you can put it wherever you want. But those poor people are probably more scared now living in their house now that you've confirmed they have whatever it is that you confirm they have.
Exactly. Validation only goes so far. It doesn't solve the issue.
Sometimes validation makes it worse, don't you think?
Well, because they stir it up. And they get repeat calls. I've seen that happen in several different shows, and not only on shows, but in real and with other investigation teams.
And we've had that. We had a friend of ours in another team who actually got called back 3 times, and their entire team broke up because they refused to go in with proper people who could actually protect and help the situation. And they were warned in advance not to go there. And they did anyway.
Exactly.
But, I mean, I honestly care about people. So when I see these people and they're on TV, and I'm not naming specific names deliberately, but, there's a few in particular I know I've told you about. I don't know these people from Adam. I don't know if they're wonderful people in real life or not. They're TV figures to me, but I honest to God care about them because I know what spiritual backlash that behavior is going to do. And then even furthermore, when I think about they're teaching a whole younger generation, and let's face it, I was a teenager. I did all sorts of stupid stuff when I was a teenager. Dear God,
didn't we all?
To do an episode on that, that would have to be heavily redacted and edited. But I mean, I did a lot of really dumb stuff in retrospect, right? And it was because I saw it on TV. It sounded like a cool idea at the time, story of my life, and good things, bad things happen. But I was also trained how to get myself out, and I had resources. Most people don't. And so if you're putting this stuff out there and you've got a whole bunch of teenagers going to cemeteries, God forbid one of them is slightly have medium tendencies and now they're being plagued and then they end up in an insane asylum, by the time they're 18 because they think they've gone mad when in reality they just have abilities and it was too much.
That's right. I'm aware of an acquaintance. I'm going to call him a friend. In high school, it happened over Christmas break of all things. He's just metalhead anyway. Nothing wrong with metal. I like metal too, but metalhead to the max. Liked everything hardcore. Heavy chunking guitars, the whole thing. Into the culture too. Dressed a certain way and had the long hair. This is back in like the early or late 80s. So not to date myself, but that's okay. So Christmas break, we come back from Christmas break rather. I can talk, I promise.
It works.
Thank you. And he whatever he was into culturally, music-wise, he kicked it up to not only 11, he went past 11 and went up to 12, man.
Oh, no.
And it was dark and heavy, and he was he'd stand up in the middle of class and start cursing out the teacher for no reason. It's like, you're teaching us lies, yada yada. It just come out of the blue. Like we were discussing. I'll remember in English class we were talking about Steinbeck.
Oh dear.
and so you're preaching lies. Just starts losing his mind, tossing desks and chairs, and walks out of the room. He was later. It just happened like 3 times, despite disciplinary actions. And he was later clinically diagnosed as being possessed. First instance I ever heard of that, ever.
Clinically, it does happen. Yeah. It does happen. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not advising anyone that I am, but there have been times where I've seen people, one in particular I'm thinking of right now, that this person did have a chemical imbalance in their brain. It had been there since they were like 4 or 5 years old that they can remember. They refused to go on medication, but they self-medicated with a whole bunch of illegal substances during their teenage years. Right. And when they hit their 20s and 30s, that spiritual web was gone. It was shattered. And I mean, I would literally stand watching this person, and the things going in and out of them were atrocious, to the point where I had to physically remove myself from their presence because they wanted nothing to do to make it better. They knew it was happening. It was absolutely awful. But at the same time, I mean, this is why protecting yourself spiritually is important. And I understand there are recreational things that people want to do. I get it. I don't do it for myself because no, thank you. I don't need to add any more fuel to my bonfire. But that being said, at least, know what it is that you're playing with. And the teenage years, like I said, it's so important to have that balance, because if kids are, they're curious, they're going to want to check things out and see what Ouija boards are all about. And there are safe ways to play with the Ouija board. I know you don't agree with me, but there are safe ways to do that.
I believe that you're right. There are safe ways, but I've never seen them practiced.
Okay. Well, and that's fine. I mean, we do have differing opinions on certain things, and that's okay. Just because you played with the Ouija board once doesn't mean, you're going to be possessed later in life. That's right. My assessment. But that being said, I mean, I'm just thinking of that poor guy and probably what he called in himself.
Yeah, I don't know what happened over Christmas vacation, man, but he came back like he was always kind of a wild guy, but when he came back, like I said, that dial went from 10 to 12. I mean, he skipped 11 altogether and just went dark side in the big bad way.
No, I pray he's okay.
I do as well. I don't know what happened to him, but I do. But
there also are, Tim, there also are people who literally choose that. They want to invoke those things and then they want to play with them. Usually things go rearing out of control very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But not all the time. Sometimes I've seen people who have made their choice later in life to keep that entity with them, and they play nice in the sandbox together. Now, obviously, different choices, different folks.
Right.
I know them. I know what they do. We have hard boundary lines. You don't mess with me. I don't mess with you. You made your choice. That's fine. I've made mine. And as long as there's mutual respect, I have no problem with whatever path anyone decides to take. But that being said, be well versed in what it is that you're invoking or calling forth before you just start messing around with things you don't understand.
Well, I think that's
my pitch on that.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's exactly what happened with this guy. I think that's exactly what happened. He chose to, practice a ritual. It's a guess. I really don't know, but
I think that's sprinkled on with some trauma and things happening at home.
Yes,
I think all of that makes for someone who wants control, and sometimes people think the only way they can control things is to go to the dark, and that's really, really sad.
Yeah,
because everything they've been taught about the light comes under the auspice of, heavy religion or in some negative manner to them. And like I said, that's why there's different choices.
Let's briefly touch on the other side of, yes, you have discovered that you have an ability or honeycomb abilities such as yourself. Do you immediately go out and start practicing? Or, I think you touched on this, but I'd like a clearer answer, I guess. Do you immediately go out and start practicing and raking a little cash, maybe your side hustle, who knows? Or are you supposed to, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I loosely use the word supposed to find a group or I don't know what you call your circle. You're a circle, okay, a circle of people that you're comfortable with and have the similar beliefs and so on and so forth.
Everyone is different. Yeah. Everyone is unique, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
I know I say that with some laughter, but it is true. So, there are going to be a lot of people who wake up and they have abilities and they are never going to do anything mainstream with them. You're never going to make money off of it. You're maybe going to help one or two people plus yourself in your entire life. That's it. You just have this kind of cool extra thing that you're able to tap into every once in a while. Some people are going to open and immediately they're going for the cash flow. There's going to be people who need to find their circle or find their tribe, find their clan in order just to have other people that they can talk to about this. It can be a really lonely space, and I can attest to that. I have a ton of people in my life to this day who have no clue about this side of me. Yeah,
wow,
I know.
That's saying something.
It is. And like I said, we all have day jobs. Yep. This is part of the reason why I've made it just about the information that I'm giving, because I don't really want to be a celebrity on this. This isn't about me. This is about the information. I've amassed years of all this wonderful information, and what good am I doing if I'm not sharing it with the world, right? In some capacity, shape, or form. Now, that being said, if you're, just having a spiritual awakening, do I recommend that you go online immediately and start shouting out to the world your every single thought and what's going through? I know there have been people who have done that. I'm sure it's helpful to somebody out there who associates with it. This is all the reason why we like different types of music. But I would take some time and really, really work with it before you just immediately think you have a quote unquote job to do. People who are called for specific jobs know, and they just do them. There is no lead up.
Very well put. I enjoy that. There's also, would you be willing to say that folks like you, folks like me can actually kind of be a sounding board if required?
1,000%, Tim. I mean, this is why I made my YouTube channel. Yeah. Not doing this for my good looks.
Neither am I. That's why I'm on radio.
No one knows what we look like. It's great. But, to be honest, this is why I created my YouTube channel. Right. This is why I worked with you in order to, have you on mine. And thank you for having me on yours.
Oh, my pleasure.
I mean, originally we were going to do this together. It's kind of funny how it's taken its own turn and it's worked out.
Yeah.
And I love it because, again, Spirit had plans for us, sweetie, that both you and I were very confused about. Yep, and the timeline and everything, but everything is manifested so absolutely perfectly. And I every day I see more and more why it's happening now instead of when we were trying to do it.
Here's a quick word from our sponsors. The Seekers of California for Ethereal Research and Investigation. We investigate hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and offer cleansing and clearing. Don't get scared, call S.C.A.R.I. Serving the greater San Jose area and beyond. Call us at 408-320-8467. That's 408-320-8467. S.C.A.R.I Paranormal Investigations. And now, back to the show. The ways of the universe. So let's wrap things up then, JJ. First off, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and also I want to thank you for being in my life. I think you...
Are you gonna make me cry?
Oh, it's true though, JJ.
You're gonna make me cry, huh? That's like everyone's goal now, apparently.
Make JJ cry.
I love you.
I love
and
you
I
too.
Feel the exact same. I'm so grateful that this wild, wild world brought us together.
Yeah, no kidding. It sure did. In the craziest way too. Our first case together, in case for those of you who don't know, was dealing with a young individual who dabbled in Satanism. Holy, and something dark followed her all the way out to California. But that's a story for another time. That was a rocker. That thing was amazing. Just an intense case. But briefly going back to, while it's not on topic with psychicism, I do want to reiterate what JJ mentioned about having a cleaner or a psychic or someone in that vein on your team who can provide protection. Because when Henry and I, who's no longer with us, when Henry and I were doing it by ourselves, we were very, very lucky that nothing serious attached to us. Very lucky.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very lucky. And we told JJ about our past cases prior to that happening, prior to her coming on board. And it was... I mean, her eyes bugged out. That's like, you're kidding me. Really?
Yeah.
Because she scanned us both, and she does that every case, but she scanned us both, and she says, yeah, picked up a couple of her, what she calls oogly booglies, and that's about it. We're pretty clean otherwise, if I remember correctly.
And blessedly so.
Oh, yes.
I mean, yeah, because you guys had gone to some pretty... You guys had done some pretty dumb stuff, in my opinion. I love you both dearly, and you know that. But
no, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. It was stupid of us not to have that protection in place.
It was. I mean, and you guys really didn't even know how to do the protection yourselves.
I don't.
Because remember, that was one of the first things I taught you guys is, hey, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm teaching you, and you're going to also learn how to do this as well.
Right.
And, I do tether because I am so protective. I probably do a lot more than your average, psychic or cleaner does in the situations. But then again, Tim, you and I are never called to normal situations.
Ever.
We don't get the little like, oh, I saw a ghost one time in the house. Like, no, we get straight on the poor girl who was almost sacrificed to a satanic cult.
Oh my God.
Plus the boyfriend who had that childhood attachment to him, who tried to almost punch me outside when I was removing that.
Oh yeah.
And then,
that was crazy.
And that was all in the same house. Mind you, that was the first case. Okay.
That was the first case with JJ. Oh
yeah. So you guys can understand out there. I loved him. Like, honestly, we really are. He's friend, family, he's all of that to me, and we get along so well, and thankfully so. But this man has never ever like allowed me to get in on the shallow end and slowly wade in. He just immediately pushes me right in the deep end in the middle of the ocean, like, swim for yourself. And I love you for it. And I kind of already knew when I signed up to do this work, like, Spirit's not going to take me to like the small stuff, right? Because that's just how my life has always been. But yeah, for us being paranormal investigators, I have to say we have done some insane stuff.
We have.
I mean, even the last one that we worked on, which I know we're not fully talking about yet.
Right, that's a semi-secret. But toward the end of the night really lit up.
Well, yeah, and we're driving away from that, and I just looked at you, and I was like, "Really? Like, really? That just really happened?"
Oh man, yeah, that was a great case. It was dead for. I mean, we had nothing for so, and then at the end, bam! It all hit.
Yes, everything.
Just like an avalanche fell in on us, metaphysically speaking, or paranormally speaking.
You know, I honestly, I say this with love. It's it's something that I've noticed my entire life. You know, I tend to kind of come in when people need me. I tend to be a catalyst. I'm so glad that I found you and that we've had this awesome friendship and being able to do this and morph this over so many different ways. And hopefully, we'll be able to help more people. I know the episode that you and I did on my channel helped a lot of people.
Oh, that's
I know I
excellent.
was a little preachy, but again, it's because I really think that if you're a paranormal investigator, you have to have someone with the sixth sense on the team. It doesn't make sense if you're not, and you're also not doing any service to yourself or to whoever it is that you're investigating.
Right. You hit the nail on the head. The goal is to help people, and yes, you can bring all the tech you want and do this walkthrough and capture everything you need, but that psychic is going to guide you to the proper conclusion that's going to be beneficial for everybody. At least that's what I would hope.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I have a running joke. If you ever see me running, like the bomb squad, if I'm running, follow me.
Yes, and we told our clients that.
Yes,
It's like,
we
okay, if
have.
we bug out, and you better be right on our heels. That's all there is to it, because something
And
crooked is going on.
like, if I'm running, we've got a problem, Houston.
For sure, for sure. Let's talk about the wall. You might know what I'm talking about. You walk into a
Pink
place.
Floyd.
Excellent, excellent choice.
Nice.
Nice reference. I applaud that. I have an applause button here somewhere.
Golf clap.
There we go. There we go. Golf clap. Um, the when you walk into a space, especially if you're investigating or you're going into it fresh, and you're kind of trepidatious anyway, but you cross the threshold of a given space that's supposed to be haunted, and you hit that wall. It's like, oh, something is off. When your first case with this was exactly like that. Is is
Oh,
that
okay.
is that psychic impression, or is that environmental in your?
Oh, that's kind of difficult to answer. It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Um, you know, partially it's the environmental energetic bubble
Okay.
of where that thing goes out to, because I have had places where the house itself is where all the activity, quote unquote, is being demonstrated,
Yeah.
but yet I can feel it 5 blocks away
Oh, crazy.
because the energetic, force field, whatever you want to call it, goes out that far.
Okay.
Um, it's also difficult with me because, as you know, I tend to kind of zero in on things,
Yeah.
and I tend to always be a couple minutes ahead of everyone else. So,
It's true. It's so true.
yeah, it's also very confusing in life once in a while as well. So, if I'm a couple minutes ahead of everyone else, even though I'm sitting right next to you, I'm tuning into something before we're physically there. Which also I usually do just for protection in order to kind of remote view the place to see kind of what's going on so that I can have proper tools, but also make sure that we're doing at a time or a date or whatever that is going to be beneficial to us and to the client. That being said, there, you know, this is a lot of the reason why they put iron around graveyards, is because there was an old belief that the spirits couldn't pass through the iron. So that's why graveyards always had iron fences and things. There's a lot of old lore that if you look into it, there are reasons why things were done that people just don't question anymore. But I've been seeing lately these open cemeteries where there's
Ooh.
no fencing around it at all. It's just, I mean, there's literally this one, I can see it in my mind's eye. You kind of crest over this little hill, it's in the middle of a neighborhood, and all of a sudden you drive by and it's just like an open field of graves.
It's a park with graves in it, basically.
Pretty much. I
Wow.
mean, like,
That's
I see people letting their dogs run through it. Obviously, the dogs are trying to get through there very quickly,
right.
but
Did you just throw
it's
the
kind of
ball over by
strange.
Mr. Wilson again? Oh, man.
Yeah. But that being said, I mean, I have
Wow.
been to a lot of cemeteries, oddly. I don't know why, but I have.
Yeah.
And not all of them are supremely haunted. I mean, I've been to some where it's very active. There's a lot of people there, but there's also physical people there visiting.
Right.
I've been to a few that they're older, and there's not many people who are freshly buried there. We'll put it that way. And they're, once in a while, I'll maybe see one energetic, kind of hanging around, but like they're dead people aren't just hanging out, is what I'd like to say about this. You can edit all the rest of that out, but the meat and bones of it is that dead people are not just hanging around watching your every single move. If that were the case, I'm never dying, because that is absolutely boring. I refuse to cross over, be completely unveiled, and then have to hang out and watch you guys like do menial tasks all day. Like, great, that's what I lived all those years doing as well. Either that or someone's going to get like a really clean house, because I would be that ghost who's just tidying everything up. So
we'll have to get together on a separate episode and talk about each other's ghost stories.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that'll be next, I think.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been JJ Rose 777. She has her own YouTube channel, and you should check it out, especially if you're entering into the psychic field of work. JJ, would you like to give them your information?
My name is JJ Rose 777. I'm sure Tim will have my link to my channel in his show notes and description.
Correct.
And I will also have this on my channel, as I can link channels, and so can he, because we work together so much. So I'm sure you might be hearing more of me in the future.
Oh, I intend to. I intend to have you on often.
Good. I get to see my buddy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, okay. So we'll call that a show, and thank you once again for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for watching and listening. Please click the subscribe button and activate notifications for future episodes and other content. On Apple iTunes, please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks again. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.